Hi everybody, it's Ann Zaccardi here, and today I want to talk about the neuroscience of habits. If you're here, if you could just say hi, give me a thumbs up or a love or something to show me that you're here, that would be great. Oh, I see Cecile's here. Hi, Cecile. Good to see you. I'm talking about habits today and the neuroscience around habits and how, when we can identify the parts of a habit, it's easier to change them. So one of the things when I teach at the community college in Maryland, where I teach, I have added Charles Duhigg's The Power of Habit to my curriculum, to my syllabus. Has anybody ever read The Power of Habit? It's a great book. I think it was on the New York Times bestseller list. Hey, Steve Gamlin, thanks for joining. I'm talking about habits and The Power of Habit by Charles Duhigg. So I have been using this book when I teach my classes at Cecil College to talk to students about study habits. And I think that when we understand how our brain handles habits and creates habits, it's a little bit easier for us to identify the different parts of a habit and to change them. Hey, Amy, Richard, good to see you. So I want to talk about habits today. Buffy, hi, good to see you. Thanks for the love. Good to see you. So habits. Give me a thumbs up if you have a habit that you'd like to change. Anybody? No bad habits here that you want to change? Mine is chocolate. I have a problem with chocolate. Buffy says habits will make or break us. That is true. Good ones and bad ones, right? So I have a chocolate habit. I'm very clear about that. I don't know if it's chocolate habit as much as a sugar habit. I don't know. And every day around this time is when it hits me. I don't know what it is that happens to me, but every day, late afternoon, is when I want chocolate. Give me chocolate. So what is that all about? Well, habits create neural pathways in our brain, and they get well worn, and we get used to them, and we keep doing the same thing over and over and over again because we've built this well-worn neural pathway. And what science has identified and what Charles Duhigg talks about in the book, The Power of Habit, is the three parts of a habit, and those are the cue, the thing that sort of starts the whole thing off. For me, the cue is late afternoon, I'm tired, I'm bored, I want chocolate. The next part of it, that's cue, C-U-E. The next part of the habit loop that Charles Duhigg describes is the routine. So that's the thing that you do. So my cue is it's late afternoon, I'm bored, my energy is lagging. The routine is I eat chocolate. And then the last part of that is the reward. What do we get from those things? So we have the cue, the routine, and the reward. So those are the three parts of the habit loop of any habit. And it helps us when we're looking at our own habits, if we can identify what's the cue, what's the routine, and what's the reward. So what's the thing that starts the whole loop? What's the routine, what's the habit itself, and what's the reward, what do we get from it? So for me, we were talking about chocolate. No, Amy, don't go grab chocolate, get one of these. Have a chocolate shake. So the reward for me is that when I eat chocolate, I get this quick energy boost, and we know sugar has some physically addictive properties as well. So I get this energy boost. Of course, later on, I kind of crash. But the reward is I get a quick boost and I get something to do with my mouth. Other than making a video on Facebook. Hi, Pat. Hi, Guy. Who else is with us? Stephanie, thank you for joining. We are talking about The Power of Habit, a book by Charles Duhigg, and we're talking about the habit loop. The three parts of the habit loop are the cue, the routine, and the reward. Okay? So I would highly recommend that you read this book if you haven't yet. It's easy to find. It's on Audible. I've listened to it, and I also use it in teaching my freshman classes at Cecil College. And whenever I teach it, I always learn something new. So hopefully I'll learn something new today as well. So what I'd like you to do is to find a habit of yours that you would like to change, and think to yourself, what's the cue? What's the thing that starts it off? What's the routine? What do you do when that cue kind of sets you off? And what's the reward? What do you get out of that? Even, our bad habits satisfy some sort of a craving. So you get something out of it. Otherwise, you wouldn't be doing it, right? Hi, Julia. Good to see you. So identify a habit of your own and see if you can identify the cue, the routine, and the reward. And I'm really oversimplifying this. There's a lot more information in the book. And even if you just Google the book, or if you Google The Power of Habit and how habits work, you'll find a lot of this information in a lot more detail. Hi, Beth. Good to see you. So basically what neuroscience says is that even though it's easy to identify the parts of a habit, it doesn't necessarily mean it's easy to change the habit. Thank you, Julia. Basically, what the book says is that in order to change a habit, we must change the routine. That's the middle part, right? So we still have the same cue and we still have the same reward, but we change the routine in the middle. So let's go back to my example of craving chocolate. The cue is it's late afternoon, I'm bored, my energy is low, so I might just go for a cupcake because I'm in New York City and my favorite cupcake place, Magnolia Bakery, is here. Or when I worked in the corporate world, I might go to the vending machine because I was trying to avoid working and chocolate helped. So the cue is it's a certain time of day. The routine is getting the chocolate, and the reward was it made me feel better. So what I've done to change my routine in the last couple of months is I've started a new nutritional plan that I've been talking about a lot on Instagram and Facebook. And I'm not eliminating chocolate. I'm not like replacing it with kale or anything because ew. But I'm very aware of my cue. I'm very aware of this happens at this time of day, every day. How can I change my routine so that I still get the same reward, but eating the chocolate isn't so bad for me? So I have embraced this nutritional system, and I alluded to it just a few minutes ago. And I drink these delicious, yummy isogenic protein shakes. Very good, very rich and creamy, very chocolatey. So when my chocolate habit hits me at 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon, I make one of these. This is an Isoline Pro shake. It actually has 36 grams of protein in it, so it's good for me. It's got 280 calories. It's got all kinds of amino acids, live enzymes, high-grade protein, all kinds of stuff. Julia says she eats chocolate-covered kale. Really? No. So I'll whip up one of these babies in my Ninja blender, and what I like to do is whip it up with a lot of ice and water. So a packet of this, a lot of ice and some water, so it makes this very thick, creamy concoction. It's almost like a, have you ever had a Wendy's Frosty? It's kind of like that. It is so good. And then I will oftentimes, if I want to dress it up a little, I might sprinkle a couple of organic chocolate chips on top, or sprinkle a little bit of unsweetened coconut to make it really yummy. And voila, I get my chocolate fix. And I've got some protein, and I've got a lot of vitamins and minerals, and I've actually done something that's good for me. So I'm getting the same reward. My cue is the same, craving chocolate. I'm craving that, I'm having that late afternoon boredom situation going on. The routine is different. I'm making this instead of eating a cookie. The reward, obviously, is that I'm not going to sugar crash later, because this has sugar in it, but it's not loaded with, it's low glycemic. So it's not loaded with sugar. It's not loaded with bad things that are going to make me feel tired or weighed down later. So Julia says it tastes frickin' amazing. Oh, and Amy Boykin says it's good with coconut water too. Yes, it is. Or sometimes, Vinny says he started replacing his soda with water. That is so cool. And you've just started substituting. Oh, you love the sound of opening of a can of soda. Yeah, that's very satisfying. It's like opening a can of beer too. Who doesn't love that sound? So Vinny says that he is substituting V8 juice instead of the soda. So he still has soda, but not nearly as much. And that's a really, really important thing. I'm glad you brought that up, Vinny, because I still have my chocolate chip cookies. I ordered some last night, and I still have an occasional dessert. I don't crave them as much because I'm eating really good nutrition, and I'm getting enough protein, so I'm not starving all the time. But Vinny's got a really good point there. It's not about denying yourself the soda or the chocolate or whatever. It's about creating a new habit. And I like what you've done, Vinny, because you've done exactly what I'm talking about. So the cue for you is that sound of opening a can of soda. So you've changed the routine. You've exchanged the soda for a can of V8 juice. Your reward is just the same. You're still getting that audio stimulation that you love so much, and you're not getting the sugar high and low. You're getting better nutrition. So I really like that. Julia says you can also mix one of these with less water and tons of ice and eat it like ice cream, which is basically what I do. I turn it into a bowl of ice cream, and I sprinkle some chocolate chips on top, or a little bit of unsweetened coconut, or whatever else I have in the house. As long as it's not kale on top, I'm good. So anyway, I want you to be thinking about what's a habit that you would like to change. Think about what is your cue, what is your routine, and what is the reward you get from it. And think about how can you change the routine. The cue and the reward are still going to be the same. How can you change the routine to create a new habit? Well, it's not even creating a new habit. It's just changing the routine so you're making the habit a little more healthy. And if you haven't read The Power of Habit, it's a great book. As I mentioned earlier, I use it with my freshmen at Cecil College when I'm talking to them about developing good study habits, because I deal with a lot of 18 and 19-year-olds who come to me and really often don't have great study habits. So I have to teach them how to organize their time, because I'm so good at that. And I have to teach them how to create good study habits for the rest of their college career. Not that I'm an expert at that. I think it's a thing that we're all always learning. So if you haven't read it yet, I would highly recommend that you pick up The Power of Habit by Charles Duhigg. I think that's how you say it. It's spelled D-U-H-I-G-G. It is available. You can find it on Amazon. You can find it on Audible. You can find it. It was on the bestseller list, New York Times bestseller list. I don't know what year. I think it was like a couple of years ago. But I would highly recommend that you read that. And if you need an accountability partner or someone to just give you a little kick in the ass with your habits. It doesn't have to be about this. It can be about anything. But I would love it if you would try my nutritional plan. Then reach out to me. I really love to help coaching people with changing their habits and finding a sexier life and more focus in their lives. So shoot me a message if you have any questions. See you later.